Hey, what's going on, guys? Jimmy here with One Road. Today we're going to be doing something that's fairly simple, but something you don't always think about doing on your 4x4 vehicles. We're going to be changing the front differential oil on my 2003 Chevrolet Suburban. Now, if I go in the glove box here and grab my owner's manual, I can turn to page 617. This page is the recommended fluids and lubricants, and you can see it lists basically everything you would need to service on your vehicle. So in these two boxes, we have front axle 4-wheel drive, and we have front axle all-wheel drive. The first one calls for 80W90 axle lubricant, and the second one calls for 75W90 synthetic axle lubricant. That's what I'm going to be going with. So I went to my local auto parts store and picked up this Lucas 75W90 fully synthetic gear oil, and this stuff is what I've been using in all of my vehicles. So I've owned this vehicle for over a year now, and it's about time to get this front differential serviced. I'm not sure if it's ever been serviced, and that's why I want to do it myself. I did this same thing on my 1995 Suburban, and the fluid that came out looked like yellow mustard. It was disgusting. That basically means that the lubricant that was in there is mixed with water, and I don't want the same thing to be going on this 03, and so I'm gonna get this changed out right now. All right, so the first thing we gotta do is look underneath, and what do we see? None other than an aluminum skid plate that we need to remove. All right, well, this is no problem to remove. It's just 4 bolts, and they're 15 millimeter. All right, well, with our skid plate now removed, we can see our 2 bolts we're gonna have to loosen. This one here is our fill plug, and this one here is our drain plug. So the first thing I'm gonna do is loosen our fill plug, and that's just to make sure that that's possible. The last thing I would want is this to be, for some reason, seized in there, drain everything out, and not be able to fill it back up. So this fill plug is a 15 millimeter. The next thing I'm going to do is simply remove my drain plug and drain the diff fluid. I do have a drain bucket here directly underneath. Let's see what color this stuff is. Last time I did this on my 95, it was just about mustard yellow, so I'm hoping this is a pretty normal color. All right, it actually does look good. It's clear, it's not milky. Well, I gotta say, I'm very glad I'm doing this now. Towards the end of this drain, the fluid started to go from a clear yellowy color to kind of a darker gray color, and it almost looked like some kind of chunky stuff coming out, so this fluid is definitely ready to be changed, probably has never been changed. What we're looking at here is our magnetic drain plug, and you can see this thing is absolutely full of metal dust. This is essentially microscopic metal shavings off of all the gears inside that front differential. Let's go ahead and wipe it clean and see what this looks like. Wow, there was a lot on there. You can see just how skinny this thing actually is, and it looked so much thicker than that because there was so much metal on there. This is pretty normal. Unless you found actual chunks, this is gonna be normal. All right, so this is what it's supposed to look like with no shavings on it, brand new. This is another really great reason to be checking and changing all the fluids in our vehicles, even the front and rear differentials, because this stuff was most likely original and has never been changed since 2003. We have the last couple of drops coming out, and I did jack up the vehicle on the passenger side, and I did that just to try to persuade the last little bit to come out. Okay, so we can now reinstall our magnetized drain plug. Definitely make sure you do this by hand so you don't perhaps cross thread anything. And once it's tight by hand, you can take your ratchet and just snug it up. Now all we got to do is fill her back up. All right, well, one thing that's definitely a must in my book when doing anything like this is using a tube like this. Now, this makes it so much easier because you can put this tube in the fill hole and raise the bottle above that and squeeze it with 2 hands. It just gives you a little more leverage and makes it a whole lot easier. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and come in above the lower control arm, slide my tube in there, and now I have some leverage to squeeze this bottle, and I don't have to be right up there on the fill hole. Okay, you can see we're dribbling back out here. That's when we need to replace this fill plug, and you know that it's completely full. Okay, so as soon as you have this thing hand tight, you can just take your ratchet and just snug it up. There's a nylon washer in there, so you don't have to go too tight. All right, so looking at our old fluid here, it looks like we got out just under 2 quarts, which seems about right. So the fluid level was okay, but man, the color of this stuff, you can see on the end of this paper towel that this stuff is not clean. It was definitely ready to be changed. There's another wipe, and you can see there's plenty of metal shavings in there. The fluid itself up here looks to be okay. It's not necessarily burnt or anything, but I bet this stuff is original. There's just a lot of debris in there. So it is very good that we're getting this stuff changed. Well guys, that's it. Just drain and refill. These types of jobs are extremely easy, but also very rewarding. It just gives you peace of mind knowing exactly what type of fluid is in your front diff. Oh, and of course the last step is to reattach your skid plate. Well guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. I'm Jimmy, this is One Road, and I will see you in the next one.